So I have been doing these Facebook Lives since about 2016, maybe 2017. So about 7 years. 7 years I've been doing Facebook Live. I think it was around the springtime of 2017 that I started getting on Facebook Live and be like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. This is why I'm doing it. And it was definitely an experience in the beginning because I couldn't really look at myself. I didn't like the sound of my voice. I didn't like what I looked like. And so I just had the camera pointing away from me. But eventually over time, I got comfortable with looking at myself and with my own information and even just rambling. Because I knew just rambling would get things out, like release the demons. Sometimes you have to ramble to release the demons. Sometimes you have to write whatever you write to release the demons. And at first it was releasing it on people and making accusations and claims against people, places, and things, and then finally turning the claims and accusations against myself. And then I looked at my own behaviors, and then I started changing myself. I started actually behavioral changing myself and looking at what I have done wrong in every single relationship, in every single accusation, in every single claim. And then I would explore the other arguments and figure out where I could improve all areas of my life. Because if a person doesn't find a way to improve all areas of their life, then they will end up just in self-destruct and taking down a lot of people with them. And since I was about promoting life, not at the detriment of somebody else, but promoting life that is relatively independent, that is relatively self-aware, and even self-accountable, that takes many years, given what we have been taught. How to lay the blame somewhere else, how to go and find someone to give us, some kind of, acceptance and whatever. So, the last 3 years, it was finally taking the information and the relief that I gave myself in between the beginning of the JJ's and the pandemic, because I was given a little bit of relief and respite. That was the JJ's. It gave me a little bit of a curative effect. So that way I can kind of sit back and relax for a minute and redirect and examine certain things and even, make my own dreams happen for that minute. At that time, I was very superficial, so I wanted to be skinny and have control over my emotions on some level. And so, yes, during that time in between the pandemic and the Jilly Juice, I achieved that goal of being skinny, controlling my appetite, controlling my emotions on some level, or releasing demons on some level. But then that wasn't enough. That was just the calm before the storm. That was like, okay, there was going to be another major awakening that was the pandemic. And so the last 3 years, and then even actually the last 4 years, because we're in 2024, and we're in the middle of 2024. Well, we're in the beginning still, about 1/4 of the way into it. Well, I was watching all the different movies and all the different messages through the entertainment industry, because they're used as a tool to condition us to see what we, like, first of all, be a mirror, then also condition us of what to expect, death and destruction. And so when I watched that series on Netflix, Cabinets and Curiosities, and one of the segments was about we are in the fourth turning. And I'm like, ooh, the fourth, what the heck is that? And that's when because I was doing the math around all the different world events and looking at history. History repeats itself, all the different wars and all that. And so that was another term that I needed to research. And so I did do the math on that, and I developed my own little timeline. And even though I didn't publish that in my book, because it's like, regurgitating what somebody else wrote, I did say, yeah, fourth turning. I don't even remember everything I said in my book, But yeah, I know we are repeating history. We are literally repeating history. But it's only a little bit different. But not really. It's the same but different. Now, instead of somebody doing it to people, people are doing it to themselves. And they're employing their friends and family to do what? To take away someone's pain and suffering to the point of rest in peace. And so what did I say? The fourth turning in an 80-year cycle. Not only are you in it, but some of you make sure that there is death and destruction in your friends and family because you are repeating history and you have no incentive to change. Wow, did I just cast a spell on everyone, even the Jelly Juice? No. I want some people in the J Juice world to go and dispel that myth that people have no incentive to change. I want you guys to figure out if it's worth it to you or not. Some of you won't. Some of you will. Okay? And I question about 99.99% of the people in the J world's survivability because you literally, I guess yesterday, holy crap, my arms were hurting so much. My husband was home yesterday. He stayed home and he just sat on the couch and just watched Netflix because he needed to rest. He not only works so hard during the week, but then he has made himself work at home because there's trees that need to be cut up and firewood need to be split and other things that have to be done that I can't do. Believe me, if I can go and mow the lawn, I would, but he won't let me do that. Okay, that's fine. That's his choice, fine. But certain things that I don't know that he must do. And so now that he's not doing so much of the fishing and all that, there's things that he has to do around here that takes up his time and energy. So yesterday he had to sit back and relax because you work so hard during the week and then, having to take care of certain things at home because of the necessities to survive. Yeah, you got to, and plus all the energy. When I was in that Walmart, and I felt like I was about to freaking go off the deep end. I'll tell you, man, that also can activate your immune system to do things that are pretty aggressive that you won't know until later, the delayed effect. But I felt it right away when I was in that Walmart. And when I went home, man, it was just like I had to be home. And so that's why yesterday I did that Facebook Live with all the things that I said, because when people feel stuff, you got to let them change. You got to let them do what they have to do. Even though you can't feel it, people feel things in different ways, but then it's making those connections that there are places in this world, grocery stores, concerts, public venues that have a lot more aggressive, nasty, dirty energy that causes people to rear the ugly head. And I'll tell you, I was aggressive yesterday. I was aggressive on Sunday. It was some nasty fucking energy. Even yesterday, I felt it, the pinpricks in my head yesterday for a minute. Like I felt almost back in 2020 when the climate started changing and things were ramping up. And then I felt my body go into a certain assimilation, so I didn't feel it as long. But I felt like the hair on the back of my neck raise. And I was also dealing with arm pain in both arms. It wasn't like there was no hives. I'll tell you, you might be a little sensitive. Certain things that trigger you just are a bit more at the surface. Luckily, I released a lot of my demons. Luckily with him, he's usually a really happy person, but when the climate changes and it affects his mood, he's a bit more stoic. He doesn't smile a lot when the climate has changed. And so I noticed a change in him, a personality change in him for that minute yesterday. And that was pretty interesting to watch. And so, we stayed in separate parts of the house because I got to give him his space. He has to give me my space. And that is necessary. So I told him yesterday, I'm glad that you stayed home today. There's no sense in you killing yourself for anyone. And there's no sense in working yourself to death to pay for all these things. I mean, luckily we are ahead of our bills. Things are okay. So he could actually slow down a little bit in his job so that way he's not killing himself because it's bad out there. The energy is dirty energy and it's bad. And so that's why I encourage people not to live beyond their means, not to try to keep up with the Joneses. that we're paying $511 a month in the mortgage. Our utilities are relatively manageable. Okay? I don't have a lot of wants and needs. And so, yeah. So you need to have the freedom to rest when you can. And when people work themselves to death because they're trying to keep up with their kids or friends or family, all of the people that they think they are socially beholden to, that's when people run themselves into the ground. And so not only are you in it, but some of you make sure there is death and destruction in your friends and family because you refuse to change, because you are repeating history and you have no incentive to change. And so yesterday I was like, honey, how are you feeling? He's like, I'm fine. I'm like, are you in pain? No, he's not. But he needed to take a break. And sometimes you have to do that for just mental clarity and a little bit of a reset. But I make sure that he's okay mentally. I make sure he's okay physically. I made food yesterday for both of us. I released some demons this morning. Holy crap. I was up late last night till about midnight. Usually I'm in bed around 7 or 8. Within the last March and now we're at the end of April, 2 months, I have been going through major climate change, and there's climate change in the body, and I've been feeling the different effects of it. And so now I can make correlation equals causation that walking into a Walmart is detrimental right now. I won't be shopping at Walmart anymore. I'll get stuff from Amazon and I'll go to Giant Eagle until Giant Eagle has the aggressive energy that would drive me out, make me feel insane. And then we'll be relegated to delivery services, or the system will destroy the population that goes to the grocery stores physically. Because people will get immune system activation when they walk into a Walmart. And then they'll have that progressive deterioration of either overly abundant or aggressively emaciated and dealing with diagnosable conditions. And so, yeah, that's how the system is doing this fourth turning this time. Okay. So finally, I was able to prove without a shadow of a doubt that not only history repeats itself, but look at your kids and grandkids. Copying mommy and daddy and gramps and grandma, but with that constant replication could turn into all-out human extinction. That's family extinction. And even if grandma changes and the kids don't, the kids will destroy themselves. Grandma will survive, but the kids will destroy themselves. And you know what? That's okay. That was their choice. You became the one that changed. You became the new prototype. And if they decide that they want to stay, what it was before, then fine. That's their choice. You gave them the other option. You did your job. Move forward. I even did the math when I first discovered the turnings, meaning generations, from a show on Netflix written by Guillermo Del Toro, Cabinets and Curiosities. I would go back 80 years from each major event, and the math came out relatively correct in history. I would then go back 20 years and look at the major events and innovations developed during that time and examine each generation, including my own Gen X. You are in the fourth turning of crisis, death, and destruction. And World War III is like World War II, but you are the one gassing your own friends and family, causing them not to want to save themselves and change. If it was not for you and your soft heart, they would not be so codependent as you are. See, it takes one person to change a whole group. Because when you take yourself out of the group, now they're going to look at why did they do that? And either they would be like, whoa, and examine why that person took themselves out of the group, or they would go and reinforce why they would stay where they are. Okay, but one person can make people question their behaviors, their motives, even their lifestyle, or resist you until they destroy themselves. If you want to survive climate change and the fourth turning, you must change yourself. Therefore, force people to find a different codependent, or maybe the person might have no choice but to survive their own bullshit. But when people feel they have no other choice, but to repeat history, then there's always that religion to justify everything they do, and they have someone to blame it on. So no other choice, not another choice. I don't know why sometimes I do that stupid shit. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to correct that right now. Okay. They have no other choice. Have no other choice but to repeat history. Yeah. I know I need to always go and proofread, but, you know, I am more like that kind of person that just kind of flies by the seat of her pants sometimes. And so, okay, have no other choice. Have no other but to repeat history. And there's always that religion to justify. Okay? So they have someone to blame it on. I don't care how much you like my information. If you don't change your behavior, my information means nothing. Paying lip service to information that is foreign to you is nothing more than blowing kisses into the wind. It's used to placate people. You're like, oh, okay. Then you become another notch on someone's bedpost. I've been so many notches on so many people's bedposts in politics, religion, and science. It's actually kind of funny. People collect people, and it's disingenuous, but every single religion and spirituality makes it okay. That is the fourth turning. So when you're looking out on Facebook and in your world, and you're the one that's changed, and people are like, oh, okay. And they like your information because it's different, right? But they do really nothing to change. They say, oh yeah, I've changed, I'm doing this, but they really haven't done anything to change. And you see it in their politics, in their religion, their science. You see it even in their face. Okay? Sometimes physical attributes are a little deceiving because when people change, things happen. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. But over time is the greatest revealer of different truths, whatever they are. And so that's why it takes time for people to see the benefits of the J world, because sometimes you have to regress to move forward. And what does that look like? And so, what did I say? Oh yeah, if you haven't watched that video it's called Crisis by Van Neistat, and he is the one that kind of encapsulated a bunch of books that he read about the fourth turning. What does that mean? You need to watch that. Okay? You need to watch that. Because during this time of particle acceleration and different behaviors that are coming out of people that are homicidal, suicidal, all that stuff, you got to now watch who you're hanging out with, watch your back in public, maybe not even be out in public if you don't have to, and also recognize what you feel. And if you don't feel anything, I would be concerned. But particle acceleration influences what people intend to do, and they can't redirect. Like I said, with kids, the kids are the most susceptible and vulnerable to particle acceleration, that they mature so quickly that whatever their intention is and what they were bred for, because of the behaviors and the lifestyle and even the belief systems adopted by their parents. And some might have a screw loose in their head. Some of these kids have a screw loose. And so when you mature very quickly as a child, some people end up becoming homicidal, suicidal. And it's bad. And so particle acceleration influences what people intend to do, and they can't redirect. Just like dying from cancer, right? As soon as you get a diagnosis, they can't redirect. They can't treat it. They can't do anything different. The cancer just ravages them and destroys them. So imagine when someone has been bred, even unknowingly, to destroy. They become an actual natural killer T cell, and they do a search and destroy. But it takes an event, a trigger, to cause them to go off the deep end. So altercations trigger so many things. This is why you make sure you know who you are with, because you'll never know what triggers people. And I'm telling you, smile and be so nice to everyone in public and walk away from idiots. It's not worth it, because a male was killed during an altercation over there in Las Vegas at a bus stop. And the guy basically ate his face. Now, that happened in Florida. People don't think it's bath salts. Oh, yeah, I'm sure drugs are involved. I'm sure all of that's on. But what would cause, there are people who've been on drugs that don't eat people's faces. So what is it in that person that a drug and then an altercation would cause them to eat somebody else's face? And if you don't know people and their background, even then, you might think you know. But right now, thank God, I've been with my husband for 13 years. We have been through some shit together that if he wanted to act out something that was really aggressive, it would have been done a long time ago. But now I still pay attention, especially yesterday and the day before with all that aggressive energy, because I was feeling some shit in that Walmart. And he was just like, what the fuck is going on? Because he didn't understand. But that's when you have to have the gift of explanation, especially to your loved ones that are living with you. Even if they don't understand what you're doing, but they give you enough latitude to do what you have to do, but you still have to have the gift of explanation. And also putting the argument right back in their lap. Because I'm telling you, when people don't understand what's going on and they'll say, though, you should do this, this, and this, and you turn right back on them and flip that situation and say, well, if that's the case, then I'm going to let you suffer too. I'm not going to do this, this, and this. And they'll be like, what the fuck? Yeah. And so you'll learn how to flip the conversation so they understand what they're asking of you based upon belief systems. And that's the thing about mental clarity and developing an argument for your survival. And sometimes you have to be emotional to get it out until you finally become clear on what you are doing. And it takes a while. It took me 7 years, almost 8 years to get to this point. And it hasn't been easy. I even discover new arguments every day. And so that's why I posted that Guns N' Roses Knocking on Heaven's Door, juxtapositioning Atomic Bomb of 1945 to Tornado 2025. And they're both atomic energy, atoms. Particle acceleration, splitting atoms, putting negative and positive together, developing an outcome, an energy, a force, a monster. Sometimes that monster is energy, aggressive energy that you can't even see, but it becomes a force that you can feel. And that also includes when you're going into a grocery store with negative energy, crazy negative energy. Because it's a 3 type of thing. It's negative and positive coming together, and then your behaviors are the outcome. You become the product of your environment. That's what happened on Sunday, is when the energy in Walmart was so aggressive. And then I'm coming in there as a probiotic and it's antibiotic energy, and then my behaviors become the product. And I was like on speed, it felt like. I was moving so fast. My heart was lurching so much. It was bad. Yeah, if I was somebody else, I probably would have had a heart attack and died in that damn place. Or if I had proclivities to be HOMI, homicidal, and someone pissed me off in there, and I had access to something, I could see why Walmarts have shootings. I can totally see it now. Because Walmart does develop that type of environment. And that's pretty crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And so tornadoes and atomic bombs are basically 2 sides of the same coin. When World War III is 2 sides of this coin, is business as usual. So I likened that B-29, the B bombers, whatever, Boeing, then all the different chemtrails, whatever, contrails, geoengineering the weather to make it more aggressive, more vulnerable to energy and energy conversion. And then you see what happens with the atomic bomb. You see what happened in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. it looks like something a tornado went right through. Oh yeah. World War III, tornadoes, climate change is real. And so, the power of three. On the night before the atomic bombing of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, there were thunderstorms with lightning in the same area. However, clear conditions were a key factor in the choice of Hiroshima as the target city and the timing of the bombing. How weather led to the advancement of the atomic bomb. Conception takes two to make three. Those are the fireworks and major chemical reactions, explosions. Okay? And then you have the power of three again. To make a hydrogen bomb, one would still need uranium or plutonium as well as two other isotopes of hydrogen called deuterium and tritium. I don't know how you pronounce it. The hydrogen page 5 bomb relies on fusion, the process of taking two separate atoms and putting them together to form a third atom. That's called particle acceleration, people. A particle collider uses electromagnetic fields to accelerate particles, such as electrons or protons, to extremely high speeds. The particles are then directed into a collision chamber when they collide with particles of the same or opposite charge, producing new particles that can be studied by scientists. What the fuck do you think all these damn crazy weather anomalies are? Particle acceleration, colliding together. And there's that's the article, particle collider imaging process. Tornadoes are the hydrogen bombs of the fourth turning. That's why you have a basement. Okay? Microwave pulses affecting DNA, neurological effects, headaches, oncogenic, developing cancer. Because people already hold those beasts inside that are of opposing forces, and they're in starvation. And they also closed up their bodies so they can't release. And so what do you think happens when you have aggressive growth, you can't release, and you have opposing forces in your body that are growing astronomically? That's called cancer. But here's the system, or here's the situation. You have allowed that to happen. I don't care if the system did things to the environment to then activate what you already hold inside. But now that you're seeing that is the case, that people hold those opposing forces inside, they're holding hostage to things that are working against them. And that includes our friends and family and all the different things out there, plus in their own immune system. So when you see that is the case, and you still don't change, that's why I rage it out. I mean, I'm telling you, man, yesterday was bad. And so was Sunday. It was bad. I mean, I'm getting stronger, but it was freaking painful. No, I don't get headaches, but I feel it in my arms. I feel it in my release process. Sometimes the energy caused me to stay awake longer. And so, this is something that you must know. Treating disease after the fact is not taking away the suffering. Okay, so you're not supposed to allow people to suffer, right? So if they're suffering, people say you take something for it. Okay, fine. But here's the thing, you get sudden events. Let's say you get a seizure, you get a stroke or a heart attack. If you are in a relatively sane presence of mind, you would then see the correlation that you hold those demons within and it has to be released. And you need food. You need all food. To not only give the body the impetus to release those demons that cause your heart attacks and strokes, but also rebuild and repair after those sudden events. Because once that event happens, it's done. There's nothing, when people go and get operations after those events, when people go and get medication and operations after those events, you're making it worse the next time around. That's why I never gave my dog any seizure medication after she had those events, because eventually she would have to eat food. But there was other things involved that happened way a long time ago before I had her, which was the vet system cutting into her from so many different things that she had to go through. And you're not supposed to allow anything to suffer if you know it's suffering or whatever. And so it's just, so treating disease after the fact is not taking away the suffering. It just makes the next time that much worse. Okay? So when an animal or a person has growths, it means that they are being given so many different antibiotics and opposing forces, and the body's not allowed to release. And then they also cut into that person, causing then trauma to the body that will rebel against that system later on, if not that point in time. And people actually are the cause of their own destruction in themselves and in their family just by treating all the diseases instead of eating and releasing. And so treating disease after diagnosis doesn't take away the suffering. It just makes it worse the next time around until you are untreatable. And either you die suddenly or you look like a concentration camp victim. But this time you do it to yourself. You gave the system permission. World War II is proof the system doesn't give a shit about the people if the people don't give a shit about themselves. When retribution is millions of civilians from military base and GIs, okay, so 1945, when Pearl Harbor was attacked, and that was a military base. When Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, what did we do in retribution? No different than what Israel is doing when people attack them. Retaliation is more than just deadly. It will end everything. Not everything, but it will end a war because the civilian count will be so astronomical that people are like, okay, we're done. We're fucking crying uncle. So in retribution is millions of civilians for a military base and GIs. That was not justice. It was closure. It was the most devastating closure ever. That's also the Midwest, those who were pummeled by the tornadoes. That was an ending that will continue to happen until people wake up. If you keep rebuilding in areas that were devastated, you'll also be taken out one day because you'll be too tired to fight. You'll be like, you know what? I'm just done. I'm just going to sleep. Because I'm telling you, some of these people had to be up all night long to survive those tornadoes because the tornadoes were going on all night long. That's like what was it? The Blitz back in, in Germany and Warsaw and all that. Oh my God. When all those, the bombings in those areas, Poland. Okay? And so that was an ending, which was basically Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That was an ending that will continue to happen until people wake up. If you keep rebuilding in areas that were devastated, you'll be taken out one day because you'll be too tired to fight. History is written by the winners. It's not justice. It's closure. It shows you how far a system will go to prove a point and then end something. And yeah, you want to be afraid. You want to be very afraid. This is not about scoffing in anyone's face. This is figure out how you're going to fucking survive. Both arms were in pain yesterday. It was survivable, but I had to sleep to deal with it. I literally had to feed it and I had to sleep because it was painful in both arms. And eat. These frequencies can even change personalities. Why am I using World War II references? Because they're telling you we're in the fourth turning. History does repeat because the system repeats to keep the balance. The system doesn't care about you or your family. You either understand how to care about yourself and in turn your offspring might have a chance. But there is no guarantee because once your offspring have a mind of their own and caught in the system of love and pleasure and paradise, they're done. And addiction too, okay? They're done. And even then you can't make any child suffer to live. You can't force feed a child the food it needs, it will refuse it. If it will refuse it. Even then you can make any child, you really can't, suffer to live. Fuck, I gotta do all these stupid ads, okay. Fuck. That's fine. That was a Freudian slip. But that's good. Because really, that's how people are going to survive. Is when you suffer to live. You can't force feed a child the food it needs. It will refuse it. If it will refuse it. You have to care about you. The system could give a shit about you. The system doesn't give a shit about your children either. So you either take care of yourself or your kids and yourself and figure out how to suffer within the confines of a law and fucking survive this. Or you let it be disintegrated. The children, the animals, whatever, by treating it to death. Because it is illegal to make something suffer unless it has explicitly said it was okay. Or unless there's nothing you can do except put it down humanely. And treating disease after the fact is not taking away the suffering. It just makes the next time that much worse. I'm going to leave these typos there because I could give a shit at this point. Because really, suffering to live is survivability, but you have to support the suffering and you can't make the decision for somebody else. But again, people will do what they got to do and their children will be what they be and the system will figure it out. And again, everyone's going to have to make choices. But when you understand conceptually, intellectually, that suffering to live is survivability and that would require behavioral changes, maybe people might get it. So fuck all trying to correct all these typos. I don't care at this point because it's too late. Now I'm just getting it out. But I see now the patterns. Okay, I see the patterns. And so frequency. So there is a norovirus. Nearly 200 sick in outbreaks on Princess Royal Caribbean ship, CDC says. Oh yeah, everyone has a norovirus in them. It's just you go to a frequency that wakes it up. There you go. Now you have the norovirus because you already have it within. It's just algorithms that cause things to react and come together. Okay? And that's why sometimes I feel the pain, different pains and weird stirrings in different places. Because the algorithms, the frequencies, wake up certain things in the body. And so there's a reason why the norovirus woke up a bunch of people on the Princess cruise. Frequency. People are getting punished for their lifestyle and belief system. They're getting punished being out in public. If you must shop for food, find the most less aggressive food store or get shit delivered to you. Giant Eagle is the most less aggressive food store right now for me. Maybe Aldi's, I don't know. I'm done with you, Walmart, unless you are the only delivery service of food. It's brutal out there right now. Everyone has viruses. It's the frequencies that wake them up and cause them to become influential and infect. And so, yeah, if you decide to go on a princess cruise or go to a concert or even go to a Walmart, expect some shit to wake up, especially now. And when you're flying airplanes and you don't know what's going to affect the pilot, oh, God. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. This is not the time where you put your life in somebody else's hands. This is time to realize that you are severely outsmarted and outwitted by the system. And so someone decided to correct me about some of these posts of what is HARP and what is a radar system in the ocean. I'm not playing this game because every defense system is also an offensive system and it's all connected. I don't care if you think technically it's this and I'm saying it's that, because everything can be used for good or evil, whatever it is. Okay? So all defense systems are also offensive. Everything is connected. DUAL, purpose, like to, or dual, opposing each other. Any truth or disputing the truth with me will be blocked, because everything that is defense could also be offense. I'm not playing this game with truthers. They're like, oh, well, then you lose credibility when you say this specific thing is this when it actually is that. You don't know for sure 100% how that thing is being used. And if you are privy to that kind of information, then you wouldn't be saying it on fucking Facebook. You would let people believe whatever the fuck they want. You wouldn't be correcting anyone. Those that know how these things are used, they sign NDAs and top secret and secret clearances. They don't come out on Facebook and correct people and say, oh no, this is used for this, not used for that. So I'm not playing these games with these truthers out there that want to go and dispute what is used for what. And so if you're going to rage it out, one must be eating all food to support the aggressive release process. And I said, thank you, Audrey, so much for your contribution. Because she was raging it out the other day. More than usual. And so, that's good. You got to. You're fucking awesome. It wasn't for your post, I wouldn't have made this connection about rage and anger. I don't question your survival. You have the ability to rage because you have to fucking survive this. I can't do this alone. Well, what do you mean? Well, I mean, I could, but it'd be so nice to know that somebody is able to rage things out. And even if you don't rage it out on Facebook, that's fine. It's nice to see it. Some people can't do that because they have jobs. But even then, there's ways to rage it out. But, I just do whatever I do. I don't have any specific corporation or things that I have to protect and reputations to protect. So I just do what I do. But I must have someone out there that I know who understands that you got to rage it out sometimes. And so I'm so glad you're not under the influence, as far as I know. And she's not. Thanks for being you. Okay? And so here you go. To survive, you must rage it out. The ones that yell and shout will outlive the quiet ones, especially during these times. If you cannot rage like me and be so energetic, an asshole, and loud, I question your survival. And this is when I was going through all that negative energy yesterday, and it had to happen. Because I'll tell you, when your arms are hurting so much, and you're dealing with some shit, and it's not like it's hurting you, but you have this energy that's so aggressive. And maybe you're pushing through a blood clot. Maybe you're pushing through some stuff that would have caused a heart attack in somebody else. If you don't have the strength to yell and scream and be nasty asshole, you won't have it in you to push blood clots through your immune system. My husband could be an asshole. I think it's fucking awesome. Because at least I hear what he feels. And it comes out in assholey stuff. I can say stuff too that could be assholey. And we both can take it. It's not like we're abusive, but sometimes we have to get shit out. Because of what we perceive what someone's doing. Until you let it out, people don't know what you're feeling and why. And then when you hear it from somebody, whatever it is, then you can go and redirect that perception and explain yourself. And so if you don't have the strength to yell and scream and be nasty asshole, you won't have it in you to push blood clots through your immune system. Rage it out. And do not hurt anyone in the process. Assholes might outlive the nice, kind people. Nice, kind people are deadly. And I knew that. All the love people are deadly. Because they will destroy your ability to survive. They will repress all the trauma and keep it in you until you explode. Long live the fucking assholes in our society. And steer clear of them. They are releasing some pent-up energy and they are desperate to survive. Long live the fucking assholes. The nice, kind, gentle people will fold up and die because they have no strength to survive. They act like doormats and the system will treat them as such. I told you, I knew the love people were deadly. That's why I kicked them out of my group. Because they will sit on you and strangulate your ability to release. And they will surgically take out every single defense mechanism you have. And they'll tell you to shut up. They don't want to hear your pain and suffering. They want you drugged and under the influence. They want you a robot. And if you try to emote and release energy, they will destroy it and take away your ability to release. They will even take out your voice. They'll take out your immune system. They'll take out your tonsils. They'll take out your spleen. They'll take out your thyroid. They'll take out your liver. They'll take out your heart and replace it with another one. They'll take out your kidneys. They'll remove everything that would help you survive. So they don't have to fucking hear it. They're the fucking deadly ones that I don't want. And that's why I don't hang out with love, holistic, spiritual people. And they are everywhere. And they are dangerous. They're fucking dangerous. And mothers do this to their own children. What? Take out their voice box. That's how fucking dangerous it is out there. It's okay to release. Just don't harm anyone in the process. And don't harm yourself. But people will. And they'll sign a dotted line. But if you drug your release and you carve it out, it'll be worse later. And that's why you have to eat all food to repair any damage from the retention and release process. And you must rest. And people are having seizures. Now, I saw someone on Facebook, I'm not saying her name, but she posted about her going on a marathon. And she had a seizure. And she showed blood on her leg. As if her nose, basically, just something burst in her nose, or maybe she threw up, I don't know. But people are having seizures right now in this environment. They're bleeding from their nose, from their mouth, because they don't know how to chill the fuck out. They think they live in 1985. Highly aggressive exercise energy will destroy you. A seizure, if you survive it, is a fucking indicator. And when your blood vessels start popping, that's an indicator you haven't conditioned for the environment and you have weak blood vessels. So the fact that she's still alive says that she has a good clotting mechanism, but she burst a blood vessel. Can you only imagine if she keeps going on and she has another seizure, that Monday she'll just bleed out or she'll just die. She'll just die from that because she's not changing the way she does shit. And we have a lot of mothers out there with children that won't change, and they will succumb to aneurysms, strokes, heart attacks, seizures, die suddenly, and you see that all over, the die suddenly groups. And so Mike Myers is aging aggressively. And so justice equals closure, equals climate change, equals died suddenly, equals death penalty, equals deadly activists who are radicalized. Justice equals war. You want justice for yourself for what you think are transgressions committed against you and your culture? That is called self-induced die suddenly, to end your suffering. And you'll get justice for your children by giving them the medical and holistic system. By giving them to the medical and holistic system. You'll get all the closure you want. The system will close you up and you will self-implode. Because you gave your John Hancock, you signed on the dotted line, and you also refuse to change anything about your life. And I said, I post that YouTube video about we are on the 4th turning of an 80-year cycle. You better watch it. 80-year cycle. See, I told you. I am Gen X, the Awakeners, the Nomad, Elon Musk, the Jilly Juice World, the Awakener, the Cleaner, the Fixer, the Repairer of those who fucked up everything. I fixed myself. No addictions or demons, and I have healthy boundaries that most are unaware of their own boundaries. See, I told you, I even said it in my book, we are in the 4th turning. Sorry for that interference. I don't know. Weird stuff happens. And so, yeah, so I want to I'll go through this, see. Mike Myers is aging aggressively. We're in the 4th turning. People having seizures, Thank you, Audrey, for raging it out. Outbreak. What else? Audrey said, the 2 little girls who inspired CBD cannabis movement have now both passed away. Charlotte Figge at age 13 in 2020 and Nova Leigh Harris, has supernovaed today. Also age 13. Interesting, 13. Rest in peace, little ones. Yeah, CBD. Nope. Cancer patient wins $1 billion Powerball jackpot. My life has been changed. I can find a good doctor. So the system can take back the money. Jesus. That's why I rolled my eyes. Yeah, I tell you, a good doctor. Yeah, he'll definitely take away your suffering. And everyone else's. And I don't play the games with needles. Self-harm for beauty and health doesn't appetize me. CDC identifies first documented case of HIV transmitted through cosmetic needles. Okay? So no, I'm not advocating anyone do anything with needles to give them beauty and no. Screw that. Audrey, I know. And so 2025 minus 1945 is 80 years. World War III, we're in it. And more people in Thailand dying of heat stroke this year. Yep. Third world countries are going to have an issue. But whatever, you can't help them. They can barely help themselves. Tsunami alert after Ring of Fire volcano spectacularly erupts. I got that. Man arrested after critical incident declared following sword attack in London. People are mutually assured distracting themselves. They're going mad. And then I have my own perception about friends and how men and women, can they be friends? And this is the thing. So you understand how highly principled I am around marriage and relationships. That's why I don't hang out with people. Not even girlfriends, really. I hang out in public on Facebook. I don't do anything through private messenger because I'm not playing that game. And so what did the LA Times ask? They said, it's been 35 years since When Harry Met Sally, made the case that men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way. Is that still true? Absolutely, and now more than ever. Look at how many single mothers out there who thought they found whatever. Or people live in that fantasy like, oh, we'll be friends first. I'll find my Prince Charming, but we'll be friends first. I really don't think it's possible. Acquaintances are one thing. Now, I have acquaintances. I have neighbors. I have people that my husband knows. I have people that I know in California that I know that are on my Facebook. Acquaintances are one thing. Even friends can cross boundaries. It sets the stage. Especially married people. That's playing with fire. You add in alcohol and drugs, and that could be very bad. When they tell you all great love start off as friends, you're playing with fire, especially if you're married. It's socially acceptable and even preferable that everyone becomes friends before they get married or even have sex. It could even make a great story in the future, right? People say, "Oh yeah, we met when we were friends. We were all friends first, and then we developed, a type of relationship." Huh. It could even make a great story in the future. I wouldn't do it. I never liked the fact that women talk to other men about their problems in her current relationship. And if that friend is a drinking buddy, that just opens up a lot of weird things. I wouldn't put myself in a position for anything like that. And I don't. I will not be, I've done things, I've helped people figure some stuff out, like look for stuff. And I was alone with them. And I'm like, oh shit, if I'm alone with a stranger and my husband's not home and I really don't know this person, it's kind of a catchy thing. Okay, if someone needs help and you're helping them out and you're like, fuck, you don't want to put yourself in that position of helping somebody and you're by yourself all the time. No, you don't. And then taking in a repairman to repair something. That's also a very sketchy thing because you don't know what people's intentions are. You don't know anything. And so it's kind of crazy. And so I have put myself in that position, but I probably will rethink that in the future. That's why I want to learn how to do things on my own, because I don't want to depend upon some strange man to do shit for me. I wouldn't put myself in that position for anything like that. Well, what about a group setting? Now, this is more about friends type of thing, but what about a group setting? Single people of the opposite sex hanging out with married people. Could they be friends? In a group setting, absolutely. People do, but shit also happens in those situations. When married couples hang out together, or when one couple is married and the other one is single. When you're hanging out with people with the opposite sex as friends by yourself, and you're also heterosexual, that is playing with fire. Too many blurred lines. Women are emotional creatures, and if somebody is emotionally available for her, it can also turn sexual. It's too easy to talk to another male in a group situation about her current husband. Hell no. So many stories start out with, it was never like that in the beginning, and it just happened. No, there is no excuse for that. Nothing ever just happens. All relationships start off with time spent with people, and some people take it further. Why even set the stage? So then you're saying people shouldn't hang out. Something that might happen. With something that might happen. You're saying you don't trust yourself or other people. Why don't we ask this question? Why are you hanging out with people? What are you getting from them that you're not getting from home? What are you getting from other people that you're not getting from yourself or your partner? Ask that question that you'll see, and then you'll see why. I can understand why women might have other women friends, shopping and commiserating, whatever. I can understand why men have other men friends, shopping and commiserating and whatever. But I don't see the reason why two people of the opposite sex or who could be attracted to each other hang out together and be friends. It could be gay or straight. I wouldn't be hanging out with any single men since I'm hetero, or married men. And if I was gay, I wouldn't hang out with other gay men or women relative to my preference. Too much room to cross boundaries. As far as somebody asserting, because someone did assert that women can do it, but men can't because men don't understand boundaries and men are all about sex. Bullshit. As far as somebody asserting that women could control themselves much better than a man because of patriarchal norms. She pulled that card. I'm like, oh, geez. Men are also wired to respond to the interest of women, regardless of her intentions. She's just manipulating him. And she doesn't understand the biology around sexuality. She's not living in reality. She's living in mind control. She's mind fucking him. Any woman who says women have better control over men hasn't met the woman who will cross boundaries. And some women will manipulate the men because men are taught to respond in a specific way, and some women know how to use her powers. No, they can't be friends. And women do send off signals that they don't even know it. It's wired into both men and women, especially if they're attractive. So I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you say like, oh yeah, we're just friends. When you're hanging out with people by yourself with the opposite sex or someone that you could be sexually attracted to, you're asking for a world of hurt. And there's too many times where people have cheated on their significant others because of a relationship developed and the person thought the grass was greener somewhere else. No, if the grass is greener somewhere else, it's because you are not watering the grass in your own fucking area. You see, I'm pretty much emotionally self-sufficient. I can take care of myself emotionally. If I need to put out any kind of controversy or things I want to talk about, I put it out on fucking Facebook. Not everybody wants to hear everything I have to say personally. My husband doesn't want to be a receptacle of all my information. He has his own stuff to deal with. I did show him that video of the fourth turning this morning before he left for work. But yesterday when he was on his own, I wasn't like, in his ear telling him everything and forcing him to hear everything I have to say. And in turn, he doesn't do that to me. He gives me my space. I give him his space so he can develop his own. Okay? And so when you are self-sufficient, and as far as sexuality, well, it's not the other person's responsibility to make sure that you get off all the time. Some people think that that's what their mate is used for, is just to be that receptacle all the time. No. Okay, so if you have to be around other opposite sex, it means you are definitely deficient in something. And if you have to have a lot of women friends all the time to hang out with, to commiserate, what the fuck are you commiserate? Oh, if your life is so much hell, and you're hanging out with women friends all the time, so your life isn't hell. Oh, but I need that woman connection. I don't fucking need that. I'll say stuff on Facebook and whatever, and I might, occasionally banter with a woman behind, on PM because of whatever, but it's not very often. Some people in the J world, not all the time, very occasionally. But you don't want to get used to that because you really want to be able to handle your own bullshit and find a way to express it without using somebody else as a receptacle, a receiver. Okay? We have to be able to emotionally process independently things that we have so no one is bearing the brunt of our problems all the time. And, and there's got to be ways that people can release without it destroying themselves and somebody else. And so, no, I don't even need women friends to commiserate with because I'm not miserable. I don't need a distraction. I'm self-motivated. Okay, I don't need someone to go and entertain me. That's what a lot of women do, and men. They need someone to entertain them for whatever reason. So you really need to question why you are with these people. What's the whole point? What is it that you're lacking in yourself and in your relationship that you have to go and latch on to people outside of your actual committed contractual relationships? And many people don't even want to look at that, because they've been told that groupthink is the way to go. But within the last 3 years, I figured out no one saved me from all this crap that I was dealing with. I had to save myself. And I learned a lot the last 3 years. I've had to release demons without destroying somebody in the process. And sometimes you have to let people go out of your life so they don't destroy you and you don't destroy them. Because you can't be responsible for other people's happinesses or sadness. And so, yeah. So I don't need women friends. I like independent people. I mean, acquaintances. But when you get into the friend territory, then the blurred lines. Then it becomes a dependency. And why are they there? To bounce things off of? Okay, why not bounce off yourself? Because you're not you're not a impartial party? Nobody is impartial. Everyone's partial to something. And so there's got to be ways to release those demons and process those emotions and process the problems to develop your own solution for you. Okay? And it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult concept, a difficult practice, when we're so used to using other people to deal with stuff. So, but anyways, all right, there's that. And then, in a first, AstraZeneca admits its COVID vaccine can cause rare blood clots. Yeah, especially during climate change. And what did Stevie G say? She's so funny. Let me see. Yeah. What did she say? She said, people find it hard to believe that just in my little family alone, we've stopped counting after 50 funerals. Full throttle on the accelerator since the rollout. Yeah, and with that rollout came the climate change too. Okay, and so those two worlds worked hand in hand. The therapies, plus all the herbal stuff too, plus then climate change. It accelerated the growth process. See, it's one thing to develop antibodies at the rate that your body can handle the retention and release, and then still be relatively assimilated to the general population and not have any major diagnosable conditions. But then you add in particle acceleration and climate change and influences in the environment, such as really crazy energy, then everything is on steroids. Everything is. And then I felt that in Walmart. So yeah, if there was someone that was dealing with a condition that went to Walmart the day that I went there, they might have felt something or didn't, and they went home. Maybe they had a heart attack when they went home. It's like, you don't know until you see it happen at the Walmart. You won't know what people are dealing with until they go home, and then you can you make correlation equals causation. That's the thing. But as soon as I was in that Walmart, I felt the anxiety, I felt everything, I felt the heart beating so fast, and told my husband, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I gotta get the fuck out of here. It's fucking. He's just like, what the fuck, you know? And maybe he felt things later on that Monday. That's why he stayed home. Yeah. Sometimes you just cannot pinpoint where that energy came from. But when someone like me, who is so sensitive to the energy in the environment, and who can handle it, and I know when to take myself out of a situation and explain why I felt a certain way, then you can survive it and make that correlation equals causation. But those who are under the influence, those who have a lot more to them, those who are in denial about climate change, they'll have everything else to blame, but everything working together, causing them to have an outcome that's unfavorable. So anyways, that's that. And then there is, the fourth turning. So I'm still a little bit tired. I mean, my arms are still a little bit sore, but I'll survive. But I'll tell you, it was pretty bad this weekend. Last weekend was great. My husband and I said we had a good weekend. And then this weekend, it was like completely the freaking opposite. It was very trying. And if we weren't the people who we are today, I could see why people would go to blows and why the people would do certain things, because the energy was bad. It was very bad. All right, that's all I'm going to say. All right, bye.